Live from the news station, this is 7 News at 6.
And straight ahead at 6, an upstate inmate serving time for drug and weapons charges released by mistake. The mix-up and why authorities didn't have to work hard to track him down.
Plus, recovery on the coast and catastrophe along the flooding rivers. The death toll after Hurricane Matthew keeps climbing. Those stories in just a moment, but first tonight, we're starting with this. A baby strapped in a car seat abandoned at an upstate grocery store. Tonight, the baby is in DSS protective custody, and Anderson County officials tell us they have caught up with the mother, and she is being questioned right now. This is Air 7 video above the Publix on Clemson Boulevard. Investigators tell us the baby was left inside near the front entrance about 3:30, and someone alerted store officials. It is unclear if the baby was hurt in any way. We're working to get more information. We'll get those updates to you online and on the air. Now, Anderson County investigators say the baby appeared to be less than a year old, but more than a month old. 30 days is the cutoff age under South Carolina's safe haven law for mothers to legally leave their newborns with an employee on duty at a hospital, church, fire station, or other approved place.
I think any child's life is worth much more than that. So it's a small price to pay to really increase safety for our students.
After the Townville shooting shook the upstate, some counties are looking for ways to increase security at their elementary schools.
That's right. In Oconee County, the Sheriff's Office and Council want eventually to put an SRO officer at all of the schools. 7 News reporter Christine Brown shows you what they're doing right now to protect students.
Oconee County Sheriff Mike Crenshaw says after the Townville shooting, parents have been calling, asking how safe their elementary students are at school.
Kids are seeing at the elementary level now what kids were being exposed to at the high school level just a few years ago.
Right now, Oconee County schools only have 1 SRO officer rotating between all 10 elementary schools. The sheriff and county council agree that's got to change.
Can't guarantee complete safety at any of our schools, but we can take some measures to make them safer.
They're working on a plan now to hire 2 to 3 SROs by the end of the year, but they have to figure out where the money will come from first. It costs around $90,000 for 1 officer.
It's about safety, it's about security, but it's also about the drug prevention, the mentoring, really allowing those kids an opportunity to be successful as they get older.
In Anderson County, there's an SRO at every middle and high school, and those officers watch over the nearby elementary schools.
Well, you can't secure any place 100% of the time.
The sheriff says they're working on hiring a full-time officer to work at Townville Elementary. And while they wish they could do that for every school with budget restrictions, he believes their current system is working well. He says building a trust with students and having a patrol car at schools makes all the difference with safety.
Children are very observant, and sometimes they're very talkative. They're familiar enough with that SRO to come to that SRO and say, hey, we're hearing this. We think you need to know.
In Anderson County, Christine Brown, 7 News.
In Greenville County, there are daily rotating patrols at all the elementary schools, but no assigned SROs. In Spartanburg County, most of the SROs at middle and high schools cover the elementary schools. Only District 6 has assigned SROs at all of them.
After nearly 3 days, Greenwood County authorities say the search for an inmate released by mistake quickly came to an end after the inmate turned himself in to police. The Greenwood County Sheriff's Office says Timothy LaDavis Williams was serving a 9-year sentence for drug and weapons charges. But Monday night, officials say jail workers released him after misreading paperwork. Although the inmate is back in custody, his mistaken release is raising a lot of questions tonight. New information now on a deadly shooting overnight in Welford.
The coroner is telling us 15-year-old DeAndre Brannon died of a gunshot wound. Brianna Smith has been looking into this investigation as it's developed all day. She's joining us right now. Brianna?
Well, Amy, conversations between the sheriff's office and the solicitor's office have just started. They're combing over every piece of evidence to see if this homeowner was justified in the shooting. Deputies got the 911 call just before 11 o'clock from that homeowner who said he had shot someone trying to break into his car. That person was 15-year-old DeAndre Brannon. Deputies say that homeowner's car had been stolen the night before and that the alarm on their second car actually woke them up and he came out and fired shots. Now crews are working to figure out if that shooting was justified.
And I don't know if there was a confrontation. I don't know if there was a threat. We do have a weapon laying on scene up there that doesn't belong to the homeowner.
And remember, stand your ground only applies if you were in fear for your life. Also, just minutes ago, deputies let us know that a second teen that was at that scene who fled is now in custody on an unrelated charge. The teen is 13 years old.
We now stand at 19 storm fatalities. Just during the past 3 days, we're averaging 2 fatalities a day, almost all of them due to drowning.
North Carolina's governor addressing stubborn floodwaters sparked by last weekend's hurricane. The message to people tonight: stay away from rising waters, period. In the southeast, 35 people have died during and after Hurricane Matthew. More than 100,000 are still without power and in shelters in many places. Now here's a look at Lumberton, North Carolina, where thousands of people are being told to evacuate to escape continued flooding. Emergency officials say several major rivers in the Tar Heel State will remain at flood levels for the rest of the week. The governor says the biggest concerns are the Tar River near Greenville, North Carolina, and the Neuse River in Goldsboro, where water rescues and abandoned vehicles have been reported since Saturday morning, and a 20th death in North Carolina has just been confirmed. Well, when it comes to the power situation, for every 8 customers that were in the dark after Hurricane Matthew, there is still 1 customer waiting for the lights to come back on, but that's not stopping the cleanup. The focus right now for many homeowners is to do that, clean things up like the many people along Edisto Beach. But in the heavily flooded areas like Nichols, officials are still keeping a really close eye on the flooding rivers. The National Guard has rescued dozens of people from that area. Now, because of all the flooding and the hurricane response, the State Emergency Operations Center continues to operate. They're doing that around the clock. Our Robert Kittle is there. He's joining us now live, and he has the latest numbers. Robert, what have you found out?
Tom, the people here at EOC have gotten 671 requests for resources from the counties and cities. Those are for things like sand and sandbags, generators, aerial resources, and manpower and support staff. People are being allowed back into most areas along the coast, and local and state officials and FEMA are doing damage assessment. The number of people without power is now down to about 145,000, down from a high of about 850,000. And there are 12 shelters open with about 100 people, down from a peak of about 6,700 people. But the flooding that's still going on means this place is still pretty active.
That's what a lot of people here are kind of planning for and geared up for, is potential requests from local authorities to assist with water rescues or water evacuations along those rivers.
The EOC will probably be going 24/7 for the rest of this week, and then as we move out of the response phase and into the recovery phase, they won't have to have it going around the clock anymore. Federal money will help pay for running this because we have now been declared a federal major disaster area. Live in Columbia, Robert Kittle, 7 News.
Thanks, Robert. Boy, have the mornings been chilly.
Quite a change. Chief Meteorologist Christy Henderson is here to tell you if tomorrow morning is going to be jacket weather again. Christy?
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to want a sweater or a light jacket. Don't let the kids convince you that they can just go out in a t-shirt, especially at the bus stop, because it's just going to be chilly, starting out in 40s like we did this morning. The good news is that we have very dry air in place, and so when the sun comes up, you rebound nicely, and that's what happened today. We have lower to mid 70s now in the upstate, 69 degrees in Asheville and 65 degrees in Hendersonville. Less than an hour of daylight left, though, and with that same dry air, light winds, and clear skies recipe, we look for a fast cool down. We'll be down to 57 by 9 o'clock. That's good enough for a sweater right there. 51 by 2 a.m. And with mostly clear skies by 5 a.m., we'll expect low temperatures down into the upper 40s. Tomorrow's going to be warmer in the afternoon, though. We'll talk more about that in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Christy, thank you. A morning fire is blamed for the death of a woman in Anderson County. Firefighters say the home on Gibson Road was covered in smoke and flames when they got there. They say that about 10 minutes later, they were able to put the flames out, and then once inside, firefighters say they found Joyce Adams dead in the dining room.
Tonight, the Highway 290 ramp off Interstate 85 in Spartanburg County is back open after 2 tractor trailers collided this afternoon. It happened in the northbound lanes near mile marker 64. The impact was so strong, it ripped the top off one of the tractor trailers. The Highway Patrol says 3 other vehicles traveling behind the trucks drove into falling debris. Troopers say 1 person in a car was treated for minor injuries. So far, no charges have been filed.
Gone without a trace. That appears to be the case tonight for an Anderson couple. They vanished back in August. It's a case that is getting national attention. Still, a little more than a month and a half later, family and friends are desperate for answers in the disappearance of Charles Carver and his girlfriend Kayla Brown. After the couple was reported missing, officers found Carver's car at Brown's apartment. If you have any information, you're being urged to call Anderson Police.
Greenville police putting together a plan to keep you safe during Fall for Greenville. I'll have the details next.